All right, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome back to Archeage 101. This is part 15, Gearing Up When You're 3 Years Late to the Party. As always, if you want to get in contact with me, you can do so through my webpage, through my email address. You can friend me on Discord, and you'll notice that I have changed up the Archeage 101 Discord invite. Some people were able to use it, some people couldn't. Well, since it costs me nothing to generate a new key, I figured let's just get that done so more people can get in there and get the help they need. So a couple of things before we get started. Number one is if you go to the Paradox webpage, you will see under the Archeage tab, I have created a page called the Archeage 101 Library. The library was getting sort of long, and having it on the right-hand side of the page was just not convenient anymore. The playlist is getting very long, and some good news with that as well. I want to take a moment to send a shout out to a fellow creator. It's Conviction's Cookie Queen. Savannalynn is a great person. I love what she does with her blog. She goes out and she showcases people's property. So I'm going to put the link to her blog in the info below. Take a minute to check it out and follow her blog. She's going to make announcements when she's coming to a particular zone, and it just helps you get out there, and it helps people be inspired to make their properties look nice. It just makes the server look a little bit better. And in really big news, and I'm totally excited for this, we hit our 500th YouTube subscriber, and I was doing some note-taking inside of the Creator Studio for YouTube. And yes, this webpage has had 28,000 views, but it has had viewership of 157,000 minutes. So that makes me know that people are actually watching the videos throughout the entirety. So that was just crazy. I'm thinking about something to do for a giveaway for the 500th subscriber anniversary, but I'm in between contests right now. So I will definitely think of something, and I am really looking forward to seeing how quickly we can go from 500 to 750. So let's just jump right in and get in today's objectives. The first thing I'm going to talk about is staying optimistic, and then I'm going to talk about the future of gear. I'm going to talk about the order of gear and why you want to go weapon, pants, chest before you do anything else. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about gemming. Some changes in 4.0, and then I'm going to talk about what to gem. So to talk about staying optimistic, a year ago I wrote an article right around the same time, and in it the top player in North America had a gear score of 8656, and the number 100 player had a gear score of 7006. Roughly 1 year later, the top gear score is 9332, and the number 100 player is 8011. So the top player has moved pretty significantly considering how hard it is to make any progress when you're at that level. But the general overall gear score has moved up about 1,000 points because that 7,000 to 8,000 gap. You'll notice that I put my own gear score and I'm at 7707, and I invite you to go to the other playlist on this channel and look at some of the things I accomplished with the 7.7k gear score. So don't feel like it's already too late for you to get involved in Archeage. I'll tell you right now, I have players in my guild that have started only a few weeks ago, and they're already having fun and they're already making good progress on their gear. But you need to recognize that gearing won't happen overnight. You can either swipe for it or you can work for it. And throughout the video, I'm going to be talking about bits and pieces on how to work for it. And so hopefully that helps you get to where you want to be. On a healer side note, I want you to realize that several of our best in slot items are scored lower than the items our peers use. So healers, you're always going to be a little bit lower on the gear score food chain than everybody else. And don't let that bother you. It's actually a mistake a lot of players make when they attack a healer. They're forgetting that you're equivalently several hundred gear score higher than what they're expecting. My examples for that are Carmilla's earring. It's the best in slot for an earring because it gives you 2.0% healing, and it has a gear score of 81.5. But when I talked about those high gear score players, their average earring is between 135 and 155 gear score. So this is one of those things I always preach. Don't worry about gear score. Worry about the gear. The Holy Yinnister Guardian Ring, which is also called our Healer Dream Ring, it's best in slot for us because, again, it provides healing. Compared to the top players, again, 135 to 155. And even compared to a regular Dream Ring, it's 106.4. That's because our ring is unique and a Dream Ring is celestial. But a big one I want to show you is on the concept of the shields. The shield I have is a legendary dungeon shield, and there's one more upgrade I can do to this. I can upgrade this one more time, and right now it has a gear score of 866.4 base. When I take it up to the next one, when I take it up to the Supreme, it'll have 896 gear score. But if you come down, a T7 legendary, which I have, but I'm selling it, it has a 972 gear score. But I want you to look at that use effect. That use effect is a 6,000 heal to 10 allies within 10 meters. That's 60,000 healing. So I am more than happy to have a shield that I can use that does 60,000 healing, and I'm going to lose 100 and about 8 gear score. So healers, don't let gear score bother you. You're going to be on the low end. Don't chase gear score. Chase useful effects. Okay, and moving right along, we're going to talk about the future of gear, specifically gear in 4.0. We're not getting any major changes to gear like we did in 3.5, so that's a great thing. In fact, this is the first time we're getting some stuff that's going to make our lives easier. Abyssal shards and abyssal crystals are going to get easier to acquire. You'll get them regardless of loot acquisition rules, so you're not going to be getting excluded from them if things are on Loot Master. You get them from loot or quests from greater dungeons now. You'll get the shards from normal or boss mobs in dungeons, and abyssal crystals will always drop from a dungeon's final boss. Now, this is a huge thing because there are people who struggle to accumulate the abyssal crystals they need, and if abyssal crystals are going to drop from a dungeon's final boss, then that means you could effectively get roughly 12 pretty quickly in an evening. Now remember, Palace Cellar and Sharpwind Mines will be going away, so that's going to be 2 less dungeons you can do, but that still gives you 2 runs of GHA, Burnt Castle, and Hadir's Farm. Also, I know a lot of people accumulate a lot of junk and they end up throwing it out because they know they're never going to need it. But Brine Brawn, Mistmite, and Sunstrength stones will be discontinued in 4.0. And there you can see the conversion ratio, especially those Sunstrength stones, 8 abyssal shards, and then those Brine Brawn stones, 1 abyssal crystal. I did the math when I first found out about this, and I'm going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 700 abyssal crystals and well over 2,000 abyssal shards. So if you're the kind of person who runs dungeons right now and just throws this stuff out, you might want to consider just making a little bit of room in your warehouse and holding on to it. Alright, so when it comes to the order of gearing, I have always said that it should go weapon, pants, and then chest. The reason is your weapon is going to provide 80% of your effectiveness no matter which class you play. When it comes to your pants you can slot toughness gems in. And absolutely nothing is better for damage reduction in PvP than toughness. And I'm going to break this out in just a few slides and show you why you want to stack as much as you can. And then your chest. On your chest, you can put the damage reduction enchant. You can slot resilience gems. And like every MMO since the beginning of time, the chest piece always carries the biggest defense and the biggest stats. So to start with weapons, the big discussion right now is always Aranor or Obsidian. Aranor or Obsidian T7. The problem right now is comparing an Aranor to an Obsidian T7 is like comparing an apple to an orange. While yes, they're both fruits, they are radically different. It's not a fair comparison to compare an Aranor to a T7. You would have to have a T8 or a tier 7.5 for it to be an equal comparison. But to give you a breakdown, the Aranor is going to be straight better when it comes to stats. And I've broken it out here with a couple of examples. The other benefit is it's always upgradable. Even if you have a Divine Aranor and you decide that you want to take it to Epic, there is no risk, there's no regrading, there's none of that. I'm about to lose my stuff. There is simply feeding your weapon. Now, I'm not going to go into how to do that. I'm going to say there's plenty of other guides on how to do that, but just realize it's always upgradable. The other thing is it's always tradable. There's no commitment. You could make an epic Aranor club and decide you wanted to stop being a healer, and then you could trade that club for a set of gear for another class. The cons to an Aranor weapon is that it's time consuming to make. You need a lot of materials. You need to make all the way up to an Ionad. It has to be a Divine Ionad. We're not going to talk about the crafting piece. I'm just going to say it's time consuming to make, and it's expensive to upgrade and feed. I was hearing somewhere in the neighborhood of 250,000 gold for a Divine. That's just what I've heard. I put no stock in it, but if a lot of people are saying it, it's probably close to the truth. When you get to the Obsidian, the pro is that it has an equip effect. All the Obsidian weapons have an equip effect. Some of them have two. And the benefit is it saves its grade from tier 1 up. So if you legendary a T1, it's going to save that tier all the way up. And there is a very, very, very minute chance that you could proc on the upgrade. The con to Obsidian is that it's bound after equipped. You are committed. When you take a legendary to T7, that's it. You are the proud owner of that T7. There is no T8. There is no way to unbind the weapon. In 4.0, there is some talk about being able to transmute tier 4s and tier 5s, but I haven't seen definitive proof if that unbinds them. So we're just going to have to wait on that. All right, so to get into some direct comparisons between weapons, what I've done is in order to compare apples to oranges, I've included an Ionad club to compare to that T7, and then I've put the Aranor club in the middle so that you can see the difference. So it's basically the Ionad in the Nui's Dawn, it's basically common knowledge that it's Ionad, T7, Aranor, but now I'm going to prove that to you. And what I've done is I have tried to keep everything as equal as I can. So I have chosen the stats to keep them equal, like Spirit. On the Nui's Dawn, I took the full Spirit option. In some of these places, you're going to see where I've cut and pasted something over. Just assume all of the Luna gems are 7-socketed with identical gems. And the temper is 115 across the board. So as you can see, that Ionad Life Club is at 850, and the Aranor Club is at 1100, and the Nui's Dawn is at 907. So it's real easy to see. 312. The big thing down here that I'm mousing over is that the T7, it has some combo effects. Now, if you've never seen a T7 club used, that 35-second resurgence is huge because that basically stacks up about 20,000 healing over 35 seconds on somebody, and that critical heal bonus of 15%. Now, you'll notice on the Aranor club, it has a critical heal rate of 2.8%. So there is no critical heal bonus on the Aranor club, so I wasn't able to directly line them up, but I did the best I could. Now to compare those character info tabs, you will notice that the healing power with the stats applied, as you'd expect, the Ionad is at the lowest, 903. The Aranor is at 1155, and the T7 is at 961. Now, if you look across the bottom, all of them have that same 2.0 healing, and the Ionad and the Aranor are both at 78% on the critical heal bonus, but you'll notice that T7 is at 93% critical heal bonus. That's a pretty significant increase when you compare the T7 to the Ionad, but don't let that number fool you. I would much rather trade in my T7 for a legendary Aranor, because that difference in healing power, 190 difference, I would take that in a heartbeat. You'll also notice that the critical heal rate on the Aranor is higher because it has that as the equip effect. Now, to bring this down just a little bit into the realm of sanity, I know a lot of people, when they first saw me throw up a legendary Aranor club, they were like, yeah, right, you're not going to have that right away. And you're absolutely 100% correct. You're not going to just magic yourself a legendary Aranor club. You might if you swipe for it, but I don't see the fun in that. So again, I have the legendary T7, and I'm comparing it to a divine Aranor club. And the divine Aranor club is almost there. It's 868, but even an epic Aranor club has already got more base healing power once tempered than that T7. So again, I bring these numbers up, and you'll see they're the same with that critical heal rate being higher than the T7. The T7 still has that critical heal bonus, but clearly the epic Aranor would be just pure healing power benefit. So for clubs, and realize this is just for clubs, it's Aranor Legendary, Aranor Epic, your T7's right in the middle, and then Aranor Divine, and then Ionad Legendary. Now, I can't speak for all the other weapons. I don't know them, but the people I've talked to, when I showed them this about clubs, I didn't get anybody telling me that any other particular weapon was different. If you are a player of a particular class and you can definitively say to me with some examples that this is not the order for a particular set of weapons, I will do an addendum to this video because I don't want anybody to go astray. Now, to jump into leg armor. Leg armor, as you can see, I've pulled a couple of epics and a divine. The thing you'll see that they have in common is that they're maxed out for toughness. This is really important when it comes to decreasing the damage you take in PvP, and I'm about to show you that in a second. It takes a lot of effort to dissect the formula, and there have been some really good people who have broken down the formulas for toughness and to a little bit of an extent resilience. And so what I want to talk about right now is I want to talk about stacking toughness. Now, this is the effective hit points calculator that you can find online, and I'm going to list it in the information for this video. But I want you to see that across the top of the board, all 8 sets of gear give the owner 20,000 hit points. They have no physical or magic defense. Now, I know what you're going to say. That's impossible. Yes, I know. It is impossible to have toughness. It's impossible to have 6-slot pants and not have physical or magic defense on it. That's fine. I just want to show you what toughness does. So all these other values are 0. And in all 8 examples, 10,000 damage is inbound. So as you can see, this first individual, unfortunately, I have to show this on the slides. At the bottom of set 1, 10,000 damage comes in. The person has 20,000 health. They just got hit for half their health. But adding just 1,000 toughness drops that attack by a little over 1,100. It gives them 2,500 more effective hit points, and so on. With each 4,000 toughness, this effective hit point number is just walking itself up. Now, early on, somebody started this horrible, nasty rumor that 4,000 toughness was where you should stop. And unfortunately, a lot of people believe that person. And so everybody got to 4,000 toughness and they stopped. Well, luckily, and I'm going to give a shout out to Taco Whisperer on Conviction. As you can see, I do these videos, so I'm going to engage in any conversation. I was one of those people that bought into the 4K on diminishing returns. So I had resilience on my boots. And he's like, no, get rid of that. Get toughness on your boots. And I did. And it pushed me up just a little bit. And then I started with the idea of full potting for toughness, running a toughness scroll and running a toughness pot. And that got me all the way to over 7,000 toughness. Well, as you can see, that takes me almost 4,700 damage. Almost 47% of the inbound damage gets taken away. All right, so to drop into a little bit of a spreadsheet so that I can show you where this thought of diminishing returns came from. As you can see in a graph version of the data I just showed you, at 1,000 toughness, you have 11% damage reduction. And that at 4,000 toughness, you're at 33%. So if you follow, the first 1,000 gets you 11. The second 1,000 gets you 9 more. The third 1,000 gets you 7 more. So yes, you are starting to have diminishing returns. However, is another 1,000 toughness worth another 6%? And I would say it is. And would I say that driving my toughness score up to a natural 5,000 to get 5% more damage reduction is worth it? Well, considering if I can get myself to 5,000 natural, I can sit at 38% damage reduction just from toughness alone. That doesn't include any other damage reduction. Then yes, most absolutely. I don't think that the cut line should be at 4,000 toughness. I most certainly think that the cut line should be at 5,000 toughness. Now you'll notice I've drawn a red line. Starting in 4.0, it's going to get a little bit harder to push yourself over 5,000 toughness. And I'm not going to go into those changes specifically. But what I will say is that you want to get yourself as close to 5,000 as you can. So just to talk about some of those changes real quick so people can be ahead of the game. In 3.7, which will actually be rolled out in North America 4.0, it's going to change gemming. Toughness gems will no longer be 353. They'll now be 320. So if you have 6 gems in your pants, you're talking a total toughness loss of 138. Now, on this note, if you can get a decent set of pants that you're not going to have to upgrade for a long time, it might benefit you to fully gem them out. Everything that we've seen from Korea shows that as long as the gem was already in the gear, it does not get changed. With the exception, in Korea, the leadership hero gems that were already slotted did increase. Every other gem stayed the same. The other big change is that there's no more toughness honor pots. So that's a total toughness loss of 1,250. So you're looking at a grand total of 1,388 loss. And I'm not going to talk about what the benefit is plussing that back up, because only heroes, former heroes, or people who have bought hero gems will have those gems in their headpiece. So I don't want to give it all as bad news. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, they're changing gemming. Yes, they are changing gemming, but unless Tryon changes something, if you are fully gemmed with 353s, you should keep your 353s. If you aren't fully gemmed, the 3.7 change increases your socketing chance, and you have the ability to force that up to 100%. Now, I'm not going to go into those things in this video. Omnom has done a very good article on that, and once we have some definitive test data on the test server, we will get a video out on that subject. Now, the final piece that's in your top 3 is your chess piece. And as I said, the chess piece is because it has the biggest stats. It's the biggest defense increase for your physical and magic defense. You have the ability to put that 3% damage reduction on, and you have the ability to slot resilience gems. Now, the 2 big pieces are that 3% damage reduction. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. You're saying it's 3%. How big of a deal is that? There's people throwing 48,000 damage arc lightnings. You need every single piece of mitigation you can get to knock that down to manageable when you don't have the rest of the gear to carry. But it's all little bites at the apple. If I have 3% on my chest and I have a Halcyon neck, well, now I'm at 9%. And if I'm running a spell book, well, that takes me up some more. And if I'm running a brick wall, well, that's a flat reduction. All of those things add up. So yes, I think making your chess piece your second priority for the 3% damage reduction, I most certainly do believe that is where you want to go with it. Also, the resilience gems, there is nothing worse than being at half life and getting killed from 50% to dead because you get uber critted. If you have the ability to slot all your resilience gems, you not only reduce the likelihood that you will get crit, but you also reduce the damage you take when you are crit. Now again, there's been some discussion with me. In fact, there's been a lot of discussion with me about armor, whether you should be going Obsidian or regular. Really, it's going to depend on the size of your wallet. It's going to depend on your patience for farming. And it's going to really depend on what's available on the auction house. There is a benefit to going up the regular line. Going up the regular line, now that there's no randomness, you can roll the exact gear you want. It means you can get yourself into a Delphinid set for very little gold. You can get yourself into a Ethereum set for almost no gold. And that is solid enough to do some very good farming in. But on the other hand, Obsidian is a much stronger set, much sooner. The equip effects are very hard to overcome, and Obsidian by its very nature is more tanky due to the inherent stamina on the gear. Now when it comes to the armor, you're going to have to make a decision, and this is a huge decision for people, and I don't go along with the mainstream. I tell people that it is easier for them to build up their infrastructure and run packs until they're ready to vomit so that they can just buy the gear they need, because RNG is so frustrating. Just last week, I dropped 9K regrading, and I had absolutely nothing to show for my efforts. The difference between me and a normal player is that's about a day and a half income for me. There's not many new players that can just generate 10K gold to go on I'm going to go on a regrade spree. If you buy your gear, you're getting what you paid for. You know you're getting that Divine T1 piece. You know you're getting that Divine Delphinid piece. There's no risk. There's no risk of blowing up a piece. There's no risk of sticking an expensive piece Celestial and now you're looking for a no-break charm. The side effect is you will pay a higher price. You will pay what the market says you will pay. I've had a lot of conversations with people that have said, I don't think I should have to pay 6K for this piece. Well, you don't have a position to argue from. You don't have the ability to make it yourself. You could, but you'd be gambling. So that takes us to the regrade side. Yes, you can get things for much cheaper if you regrade. Yes, I legendaried a club about 2 years ago. That right there, I didn't have to generate 140,000 gold. And speaking of those legendary dreams, yes, I YOLO'd an epic T6 shield because I just wanted to watch it go kablooey, just because I could. And it went legendary. So I upgraded it to T7, and it cost me in the neighborhood of 17,000 raw currency to take it up to T7. And that's going to generate me 140,000 gold. And that goes with the saying, those who risk it get the biscuit. Scoot, who was a longtime friend of mine in Slayers, he's crazy, and I'm going to outright say he's just crazy. He had 5 legendaries on the day the evolution finished. And then I've seen him roll 3 more legendaries in a week. And I don't know how many more he's done when I haven't been online. The side effect, you are gambling. You will eventually lose. Like all other gambling, you will lose and you will end up with nothing if you don't stop. If you hit pay money, you hit pay money. Take what you want and move on. Don't do what I do and be like, oh, I'm gonna hit it again. I'm gonna hit it again, because you will lose. If you're buying gear, actually, not even if you're buying gear. If you're saving for gear, if you're getting gear, I recommend nothing lower than Divine, if Obsidian or Delphinid. It shouldn't take you that long to make the money. If you're not making money very well, I've done several videos on different ways to make money. I have a video called How to Make Gold. Go watch that, and then it should give you some ideas. If you're using Ethereum gear as a filler, Celestial's fine, because then you can upgrade it to Delphinid and then roll it yourself. The most important thing is to get you into a set of gear where you can start doing the stuff you want to do. Now, I know at the beginning I said you had to be optimistic, and I really do mean that. I really do mean you have to stay optimistic. I want you to remember that everything in the game was designed and completed by people with less than a 4K gear score. Yes, Serpentis can be done by 10 people in a 4K gear score. We used to do it. We had no choice. That's how we got above 4K. So don't be afraid of it. Yes, it's going to be painful, but jump in. You don't have to be a 7K person to go through Serpentis. There's absolutely no point if a group is doing that unless they're doing Dream Rings. All right, and the final bit today, for all you new players out there, I'm going to be doing a video pretty soon on battle pets. I moved the gearing video to the beginning because several reasons, but today's extra credit. Before I get to the video on battle pets, get yourself a polar bear. I don't know how many times I call for battle pets on like a Crimson Rift boss. We kill the first one, and I don't feel like being there for another 10 minutes, and I say battle pets out, and a couple of people pull out bears, and a couple of people pull out like the dragons, and then nobody else has a battle pet. I checked the market before I made this video, 89 gold for a bear cub. Now, it's the Polaris that you wanna get. It is not the Blizzard bear cub. So when you come in a game, you go to the auction house and you look up Polaris, 89 gold right there. I'm not even lying to you. Now here's the thing. You grow him up, 2 things are going to happen. The first thing is you're going to get either a mount or a battle pet. If you get a mount, you're incredibly lucky. I'm sure you're not going to think that, but the mount is really rare. The other is that you're going to get a battle pet. The battle pet can grow up to be one of 2 options. He can be a tank class or he can be a DPS class. They're very similar. They have the ability to pump out the same amount of damage. You'll notice my bear, he has a 720 attack. My attack on my bear is higher than some players. Yes, I am rocking Divine Gear on my pet. So as I pull him out, I have in fact given him a set of Divine Conqueror's Flame. I just haven't had a chance to upgrade it yet, but that does do quite a bit for helping him put out the damage. And I have the tank variety, so I love this thing. It's called Your Mother Was a Hamster. He can taunt off me, not very effectively anymore that I'm geared as I am, but it was kind of nice when I was lower geared that he could taunt off me and stop me from dying. So if you're just getting started, find that first 100 gold and get a bear. It's going to make your farming a whole lot easier. All right, and here's what we talked about today. And I know this video isn't as comprehensive as some of the other ones I've done, but this was a very difficult topic to work with because I'm basically trying to talk abstractly about gear when I can only speak specifically on one subset of the classes. This is really one of those introductory lectures that a teacher gives, and I wish that I had the ability to look out at your faces and see, like, gauge, but I'm kind of doing this blind. So I'm really going to be relying on comments this time. I'm going to take a lot of these comments that I get and I'm going to roll them up. And those comments on this video are going to drive, if not the next video, if I'm still collecting comments, the video after that. I really want to get into some good discussion because I know I answer this question, what should I do with gear? I'm answering it like 5 or 6 times a day. So I know there's a lot of people who need help. So as always, this is what we went over. And this is all the ways to get in touch with me. And if you need me, please hit me up on Discord. Send me an email. If that link isn't working to get you into the Archeage 101 classroom on Discord, let me know and friend me, and I will get you in there. Hey, you. Yes, you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Hit that subscribe button. Watch a couple of more videos. Go check out our website.